Today on the Hookup, I'm going to show you how to set up a Ubiquiti UniFi network from scratch. We're going to create different Wi-Fi networks for the different device types in our house, and we're going to migrate our current devices onto these networks. This is part 2 of my 3-part Ultimate Smart Home Network series. Here we go. In my last video, I showed you how to select the correct UniFi products for your price point and application. And today, I'm going to show you how to painlessly migrate from your old network to your new one, and set up some new features to facilitate the separation of your IoT devices from the rest of your network. In my third video, I'm going to cover VLANs, firewall rules, and MDNS, so make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in that. If your network is anything like mine, then when the local network goes down, lots of smart home devices get a little bit annoyed. So in order to cause as little disruption as possible, I'm going to recommend that you set up your new network separately without taking down your old one. Once you've got your new system fully provisioned, you can pull an Indiana Jones type swap to seamlessly switch from one network to the next. Step 1 of the setup process is deciding where you want to run your UniFi controller software. The UniFi controller is used to configure your UniFi devices, adopt them onto your network, update their firmware, and gather statistics about the traffic. In my case, I'll be using a standalone CloudKey Gen 2 Plus as my controller, but you could download the Windows or Mac controller software, run it off a Raspberry Pi, or even install it as an add-on for Home Assistant. Because each of the devices you're going to connect to your new network is going to need to update its firmware before being adopted, you're also going to need to provide internet access to your USG or whatever router you decided on. I'd recommend pulling the internet connection straight from your cable modem and leaving your old network temporarily without internet instead of connecting your USG to your existing router, but you could technically connect it to one of the LAN ports on your old router and have a similar experience. The physical wiring of the USG is really simple. A single Ethernet cable will connect from your cable modem to the WAN interface of your USG, and then another Ethernet cable will connect from the LAN port on the USG to any port on your switch. Once you've plugged in your Ethernet cables, go ahead and power up both your USG and your switch. Next, you're going to connect the rest of your UniFi gear to your switch. If you're using a PoE switch, each port will automatically configure itself to provide the right amount of voltage. Additionally, you'll want to hook up the device that's running the UniFi controller, which in my case is the CloudKey, and then also hook up a computer that you can use to log into the controller and set up your software. At this point, the LED indicators on each of your UniFi products should be solid white, indicating that they're powered on, but not yet adopted. If you're using a CloudKey Gen 2 or Gen 2 Plus, you'll notice that the IP address of the controller is given on the small OLED screen on the front. If you're using an older CloudKey, you can use the UBNT Discovery Chrome add-on to find the IP address of the CloudKey, and if you're using a Mac or Windows program, just run it and press launch the controller. And last, if you're using the HAS.io add-on, you just log into HAS.io, go to the UniFi controller add-on, and then click Open Web UI. In any case, you'll probably be prompted with a screen that says your connection is not secure, and that's no big deal. Just click on Advanced and then proceed to the IP of your controller. If you're using the CloudKey, you can click on UniFi SDN at this point, and if you're using anything else, it should just take you straight into the controller. Next, in the UniFi controller, you'll be presented with a wizard to set up your username, password, time zone, and network name. When setting up your SSID, you should make sure you pick a different SSID than your old one, because you don't want devices switching over from your old network to your new one before it's ready. Don't worry though, we're going to switch it back to your old SSID later on. At the bottom of the username and password screen, there's going to be another set of credentials generated that's used to log into your UniFi devices via SSH if you should ever need to do that. The password is randomly generated, so there's no need to change it if you don't want to. Next, if you go to the Devices tab, you should now see all of your UniFi products, and next to each device on the right side, there should be a button that says Adopt and Upgrade. This is going to take a bit of time because each device is going to download the latest firmware and then get adopted onto the controller. While this is working, it's a perfect time to complete an optional step of your sitemap. If you have a blueprint of your house, you can import it by clicking Add New Map and then select an image to upload your file. To give the map a scale, you find a wall that you know the exact dimensions of and then hit the Set Scale button and draw a line across that wall. Next, you'll add in walls using the correct materials and then place your devices. The most important thing obviously is to place your Wi-Fi devices because it's going to allow you to determine what kind of Wi-Fi coverage you can expect and where you may find dead zones in your setup. The dead zones in coverage are of course approximate, but they work for getting a general idea. Again, this step is totally optional, so if you don't care about your site survey, you can just grab a drink while your devices adopt and upgrade. Once your new hardware is all updated and adopted, you want to make your new network match your old one as much as possible to ease the transition. If you don't have a whole lot of static IP devices, you really might not need to do this step. But in my case, I have about 50 smart home devices that are configured to find my MQTT broker at 192.168.86.168. which will obviously cause an issue since the default network created by the UniFi software is a 1.subnet. So that IP address doesn't actually even exist. To change this, we're going to go to Settings, Networks, and then click the pencil icon next to the network labeled LAN. Then, under Gateway/Subnet, you can edit your desired subnet, which for me is 192.168.86.1/24, and then click on Update DHCP Range. After making these changes, you'll want to power cycle all of your UniFi equipment so they can get their new IP addresses. That also means you're going to need to locate the new IP address of your cloud key in order to log back into the controller. This is where that screen on the front of the Cloud Key Gen 2 Plus comes in really handy. Once you've logged back into the controller and all of your devices are showing as connected, it's time to make the swap. So go ahead and power off your old router and any Wi-Fi access points, and then under Settings, Wireless Networks, click on Edit and change the SSID and password to match your old Wi-Fi. Plug in your other wired devices to your new switch, and you should be all up and running. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking to you about speedtest.org since it's mostly a measurement of signal strength and not throughput. But I think that there's some people who are generally interested in this, so here are some quick results from different areas around my house on my Google Wi-Fi system versus my new UniFi system. Again, my Google Wi-Fi system was generally really reliable in terms of speed and connectivity, so I didn't expect to see a huge increase here, but there was a marginal improvement in both area of coverage and speed. What I really care about though is advanced functionality. And even though I'm going to cover VLANs and firewall rules in part 3 of this video, we're going to set up the basic groundwork by making different SSIDs for the different device types on your network. My network is going to have 4 different wireless SSIDs to correspond to 4 different device types. First are the unrestricted devices. These are the desktops, laptops, tablets, and phones that belong to my family. These devices, for better or for worse, are going to have unrestricted access to all the local network and to the internet. And they're going to connect to that main Tate Wi-Fi SSID that got set up by the wizard. The second type of device is my guest network, which is exactly what it sounds like. People coming into my house who want internet access but shouldn't be able to access any local devices. And for that, I'm going to use the standard UniFi guest network setup. You can see under wireless networks that I have a guest network automatically set up by the UniFi controller wizard. The UniFi default guest network only allows devices to connect out to the internet, and it blocks all local computer-to-computer traffic. Third, I've got a few IoT or Internet of Things devices. These devices use the cloud for functionality, so they need to have internet access, but they don't really need to be snooping around on my local network. I'm going to give them unlimited outbound access to the internet, but I'm going to block most of the traffic bound for my local network. I don't have very many of these devices since I really prefer local control, but this is going to include things like my wife's Tesla, our Rokus, and our Echo devices. I'm going to keep these devices on a Wi-Fi SSID called Tate IoT. So I'm going to go to Setup, and then Wireless Networks, and then I'm going to create a new wireless network. Make sure that you give each of your wireless networks a descriptive SSID. As I said, I'm going to call mine Tate IoT. Under Security, select WPA Personal and give it a secure password. Keep in mind that you really want all of your wireless networks to have different passwords, so if one of your wireless networks gets compromised, a hacker can't use that information to pivot onto the rest of your networks. We're going to configure each of these SSIDs to be on a different VLAN in my third video, but for now, we just want all of the devices to connect using the correct SSID. The fourth device type on my network are my locally controlled devices. These devices use MQTT to communicate with Home Assistant and Node-RED to do things like open blinds, control lights, and collect sensor data. These devices have no reason to go on the internet other than to synchronize their time, and we're going to cover that later. Because these are locally controlled devices, I'm only going to let them talk to my Home Assistant server where my MQTT broker lives, but I'm going to block all other traffic. I'm going to steal a clever name from the legendary Home Assistant add-on creator Frank and call this my NOT, or Network of Things. And then I'll create an SSID called Tate NOT for this device type. Again, don't forget to make this password unique from the rest of your SSIDs, and don't worry about VLANs and advanced setup yet. Before I start migrating these devices onto their new SSIDs, I'm going to take one additional step that may not be completely necessary, but it solves my one gripe with these high-powered access points. The biggest problem that I've had with my UniFi system since switching over from Google Wi-Fi is that devices that can see more than one access point often don't connect to the closest one. And as a result, in the UniFi controller, I see that they're having a poor Wi-Fi signal. In my experience, this seems to be caused by the wireless access points coming online at slightly different times. And as a result, most devices will attach to whatever access point becomes ready first. Unfortunately, ESP8266 based devices are especially sticky, meaning they want to stay on the same access point even if there's a better one available. There's a way to set up something called minimum RSSI to get devices onto the right access point, but I've read a bunch of posts about connectivity issues doing it this way, so I'm going to use a slightly different approach. Head back over to the Devices tab in the UniFi controller. Click on APs, then click on the gear for a specific AP and select WLANs. You can see here that each SSID can be overridden on a specific access point. So what I'm going to do is specify a different SSID for each of my access points. For example, my upstairs access point is going to get its IoT SSID renamed to Tate IoT _upstairs, and its NOT SSID changed to Tate NOT _upstairs. All the properties of this network are exactly the same as what we set it up within the wireless network section, but now they have a different SSID. I'm not going to mess with the SSID for the main unrestricted Wi-Fi or the guest network because I want those devices to be able to roam my house and bounce from one access point to the next. But my IoT and NOT devices are permanently installed in specific rooms, so I always know which AP they should be closest to. Repeat this process for each of your access points, and remember that you need to do it for both the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz networks. Now, if you look at your wireless networks on your phone, you should see a ton of different networks, which each correspond to a different access point and device type. Don't worry about the clutter, we're going to hide these SSIDs once we get everything migrated. Next is the most painstaking and time-intensive part of this whole process, getting all the devices onto the right SSID. For my 60 devices, it took me around 4 hours, but it could take you more depending on how many devices you need to have physical access to in order to change their SSID. Luckily, I was able to change most of mine from the comfort of my own desk, so it wasn't too bad. Remember that we want to put all of our cloud devices on the IoT network, all the locally controlled devices on the NOT network, and we want to have very few devices connected to our main Wi-Fi, which is Tate Wi-Fi in my case. After you're all done, you can hide the NOT and IoT SSIDs by going to Settings, Wireless Networks, and then clicking on Prevent this SSID from being broadcast. A quick note though, at the time of publishing this video, Amazon Echo devices have a bug that stops them from properly connecting to hidden SSIDs. So I've been forced to leave my IoT SSIDs visible until they correct that bug. In the client list, you should now be able to sort your connected devices by their SSID for a super satisfying result. In part 3 of this series, we're going to assign different VLANs and firewall rules to these SSIDs to keep your network as safe, secure, and robust as possible. So stay tuned. If you're interested in buying any of the gear that I used in this video, please consider using the affiliate links down in the description. Thank you so much to all my awesome patrons over at Patreon for your continued support of my channel. If you're interested in supporting my channel, please check out the links down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching The Hookup.